Dealers are making your truck illegal in 12 states. This is the aftermarket uprising they can't stop. In the last 72 hours, over 800 mechanics dropped their own dealership bypasses in our comments. Ford owners, GM owners, Nissan, Toyota, every major manufacturer represented. What they built is exactly what dealerships spent millions lobbying to prevent, and in 12 states right now, legislation is moving through committee that would make these builds illegal before the end of this year. We went through every comment. What came back was not a comment section, it was a survival manual. Today we expose the real-world failures that prove why this movement exists, the legislative war being waged against it, and the one thing dealerships are most afraid you figure out before that legislation passes. This is the aftermarket uprising, and the window is shorter than you think. The human cost. Before anything else, you need to understand what is actually being taken from people. Danny B has owned 4 vehicles in 26 years. His third was a 2010 Nissan Altima. The driver's seatbelt would randomly lock completely. Not because it failed to retract, it retracted fine. It simply would not pull back out. A mechanical lock designed for crashes was triggering on normal drives, for no reason. Danny searched for a replacement module. Auto parts stores did not carry it. No new units existed. Nissan had walked away from the part. His only option was a used module that had already proven it could fail the same way. His wife is wheelchair bound. She holds the door to get in and out. The Altima's doors swung shut on their own. This was a family trying to stay safe, in a vehicle a manufacturer had deliberately walked away from. Danny said it better than I can. If I pay tens of thousands of dollars to own a car, a dealership has no right to decide what I do with it. If the government is worried about emissions after the sale, that is the owner's problem, not a manufacturer's license to maintain permanent control. That is the legal and moral foundation this entire movement is built on, programmed to fail. Now I need to tell you about Jim Kahana, because what Jim experienced is the most important data point in this video. Jim drove a 1996 Ford E150 for years. Not one HVAC failure, the truck simply ran. He upgraded to a 2017 Lincoln MKZ, 400 horsepower, all-wheel drive, dropped from 30 gallons of fuel a week to 13. By every measure, a smart decision made by an informed buyer. Here is what Ford's brochure left out. Every single HVAC actuator under the dash has failed. Ford programmed the failure mode to default to maximum cold, not to hold its last position, not to fail safely. Maximum cold, always. At -2 degrees Fahrenheit, Jim's windshield fogged in seconds while driving. Jim sent me the full list of everything that failed before 80,000 miles. I read it 3 times because I was not sure I believed it. Both front CV joints, both wheel bearings, oil pan seal, water pump, panoramic roof mount. Subwoofers destroyed when he rolled the windows down. The active noise canceling entered a feedback loop and blew them from the inside. And then, the detail Jim called absolute mind-boggle-ation. The lane keep assist camera began leaking, a clear, oily substance streaking down the windshield from above the mount on a hot day in a parking lot. A camera was leaking on a 2017 luxury vehicle at 80,000 miles. The dealer's quote to fix the HVAC alone was $3,800. Jim bought that car to save money. What the showroom never disclosed was the bill waiting in their own service bay. His conclusion? Get an old Crown Vic and modify the hell out of it. That is not a defeated man. That is a man who finally understood the game. The community upgrade. Last video, we covered the GMvats Immobilizer bypass using a fixed resistor. The community immediately made it better. A viewer named FlitFlit4579 recommended using an adjustable resistor instead. Check your ohm value first. Set the potentiometer to match. It works across multiple GM platforms. The total cost is under $5. This is how knowledge compounds outside a dealership's control. You teach the method. The community engineers the improvement. Nobody pays a diagnostic fee for that conversation. The counterargument. One comment needs a direct answer. Viewer Ikafua 7177 said, "Removing your immobilizer makes your vehicle easier to steal." Correct. Partially. A professional thief bypasses a factory immobilizer in under 90 seconds, using the same onboard diagnostics port your dealership uses. The tools are commercially available, publicly documented. Factory immobilizers were not built to stop determined thieves. They were built to stop you from bypassing the parts counter. What actually protects your vehicle costs $30. A hidden kill switch wired to the fuel pump relay, a secondary cutoff behind the dash, a mechanical steering lock. None on any corporate network, none defeated by a scan tool, all controlled exclusively by you. The immobilizer was never about your security. It was always about their revenue. The political battlefield. Here is the number the automotive industry does not want in this video. The average dealership service department generates $47 in profit for every dollar spent on the part they sold you. That margin exists for one reason: your inability to source it anywhere else. The moment the aftermarket provides an alternative, that $47 disappears, which is why the aftermarket must be eliminated, not competed against. Eliminated. Viewer Error and D and RADS laid out the battlefield. OEMs are lobbying to ban aftermarket components from public roads entirely. They use environmental regulations as the weapon. The argument sounds reasonable. Cleaner emissions, safer roads. But the legislation underneath bans non-factory systems at the hardware level. That kills the aftermarket and sends every repair back through the dealer. That protects that margin, the $47 margin on every transaction for the lifetime of every vehicle on American roads. One viewer translated the entire strategy into one sentence. He said they do not want owners to be self-sufficient because that means a customer they have permanently lost. Viewer Mr. Card 031584 wrote what the comment section was collectively thinking. Time to go for the jugular. There are 1,000,001 people ready to replace them. It is past time to make the government fear the people again. That is the logical conclusion of watching a system deliberately engineer dependency into machines people paid for with their own money. The automotive industry made a calculated bet. They bet that if they starved the parts supply long enough, discontinued enough components, locked enough modules, and lobbied enough legislatures, American owners would stop fighting, walk through the showroom, sign the subscription, trade in the truck. The bet is failing. Because they made one critical miscalculation. You cannot engineer helplessness into people who already know how to build. The aftermarket is not a workaround. It is the answer that existed before their marketing department was born, and it will be here after every subscription expires. If you paid for it, if your name is on the title, nobody, not a manufacturer, not a dealership, not a state legislature, has any right to decide what you do with your own property. That principle is older than every corporation in this industry combined, and it is not going away. The next video exposes the specific legislation dealerships are funding in those 12 states, the exact language, the associations behind it, and the timeline before it reaches a floor vote. If you own a vehicle you can still fix with your own hands. That video is the most important one we will publish this year. It drops in 48 hours. If you know someone who owns a truck or car built before 2015, share this today, not tomorrow. Today. The legislation does not wait, and neither should you. Which system are you eliminating first? 1. ECU transplant. 2. Ignition bypass. 3. HVAC elimination. 4. Full carburetor swap. Drop the number in the comments right now. Own your machine. Support the aftermarket. The resistance does not ask for permission. We will see you in the next one.